And welcome back to Metropole Sports Center. My name is Nashon Owano. As I had promised you earlier, after the break, you're going to be talking about talent scouting in the sports arena. Just before we get into the conversation, let me just give you a background of what we'll be talking about. Now, there was a research that was done by Elena Radici and Michelle Mozadiochi on social talent scouting. And on that, one of the conclusion of that report was that talent scouts are at the core of a complex network of relations in terms of identifying talents that are to be spotted or to be playing in major leagues in the world all over. So in studio today I have Christine Karimi. Christine Karimi is an adjunct faculty at School of Humanities and Social Sciences in USIU, and then she's also the founder and director of Dream Football Kenya, as which I mentioned is in partnership with football legend Luis Figo. Welcome to studio.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for finding time to come to studio. So let's quickly dive right into the conversation on talent scouting. Why take that direction of talent scouting?
Okay, first of all, we scout for children between the age of 4 and 16. And when you're looking for talent, the purpose of us looking for children that young is for us to find raw talent. So when you're scouting, we're looking for people who've not been discovered, children who've not been discovered yet, and trying to give them a platform or a way of them developing their talent. So the purpose of scouting is to get now this pure breed that you create yourself. So, and then you spot people who've not been, had a chance to actually be seen. So that's the purpose of us scouting.
Okay.
Yes.
So probably in terms of scouting, you could tell us how far are you guys as Dream Football Kenya in terms of talent scouting? Any places that you guys have visited? What has been the development? Have you seen the next Messi's of this world, Ronaldo's of this world? I mean, how far so far with your program?
We started off with a mandate of going to 7 counties. We ended up going to 9. And we have seen amazing talent. Children as young as 8 years, you can't even believe how well they play. I honestly believe if you nurture that kind of talent, you get more than Messi, more than Ronaldo. And that's the promise of Dream Football, because you want to raise these children in the right way and give them football knowledge by the time they're old enough. They're actually able to play very well, better than Messi. So we have gone to places like Mathare and Huruma, where you find children do not have a place to actually play. You find that some of them are playing in the concrete, which is quite dangerous. Or like in Kajiado, where a child falls and you can't even see the child, you're seeing the dust first.
Wow.
And it's extremely frustrating to see people who can play very well, children who can play really, really well, but the facilities are lacking. Or even at Jamhuri grounds, you see one child playing, you see actually not one, many playing with these plastic shoes, and then the kicking foot is the one that has the soccer boot that is really torn. So one of the things we've planned to do again is to go back to these places and give them breakfast, courtesy of Blue Band, and give them clothes, because some of them are in such a state. And we're also driving an initiative to collect old boots from different people and just give them. But the journey of scouting has been amazing and very humbling. The things we have seen, the children we have met are just amazing. Yes.
And maybe at this time it will be important for you to talk about your affiliation to Dream Football Portugal and Luis Figo.
Okay, the Dream Football Portugal is co-owned by Luis Figo. And you know, he's a football legend. Yes, so he has a mandate to scout for children in Africa. He has a heart for children who are less fortunate, and especially children in Africa. And it's a common belief that people in less slum areas are not usually talented. It's a common belief, which is very true. So he has a passion to bring children who've not been scouted to light. So Dream Football Portugal is the one that has mandated us using an application. So they are the eyes of Dream Football, because we use an application to scout, and then they view from the other side. So Figo is the one who actually, him and his team actually get to decide which child is good enough to actually go into our camp. So yeah, Dream Football is licensed to us from Portugal. So yeah, that's how our journey is. So we are looking for children, 44 children. Putting them in a boot camp, and then now putting them through training with our scouts and coaches, And then at the end of it, we want 14 superstars who now we take to the Figo Academy, where now they have a chance to get scouted into La Liga teams like Benfica and Lisbon Sporting and others.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe you could talk about how that particular application works.
Okay.
Or maybe if there's somebody who's watching who's interested in understanding how that particular application, because I think it's actually it's a fairly new concept in Kenya.
Actually, it's a first. There's nobody who has that technology, scouting using a mobile application.
Okay.
So you can actually get it on iOS for Apple users and Play Store for Android users. It's a very easy to use mobile platform.
Okay.
You just download it, create a profile for your child. So when they're playing, wherever they are in the field, in the academy, in school, you can film them. You can upload a series of 5-second videos or 10-second videos for them to be viewed, and every week they're rated. So if they're good enough but not that good, they're given prizes like jerseys and autograph jerseys and all. But so there are very many activities that go on. You can actually view other talents from different countries, from Brazil, from Portugal, etc. So you just download the app, create a profile, and you start recording.
Okay.
Yes.
You had mentioned that you are looking for children that will go to the Luis Figo Academy.
Yes.
How many have you spotted so far? Is there any kind of process or that is going to be taking place to sift through until the final ones that you want to finally proceed to the Luis Figo Academy?
Yes. Our team comprises of 3 trained scouts, and actually one of them has worked extensively with the FKF.
Okay.
So when they spot a child, they're actually trained to spot a child who has talent within a few minutes.
Okay. So there's actually a training for scouting.
Yes. There's a training. Actually, what our tournament manager says, a coach is a scout and vice versa. So if they're a good coach, they can scout. But they're able to look at a child playing, because you usually have 7 aside 15 minutes. So they're able to look at a child within that short period and tell this one is good and this one is, well, if they're given good training, they'll be better. They're able to spot that. So we have over 60 children we have found.
Okay.
And we haven't stopped yet. We're finishing at the end of September, the scouting process, that is. So we're still looking around to see who else. We're going to academies, and this weekend we're at Kenya Science again. So when we finally get that number, we are going to sift through the best and now get a team of 44 from all over the country. Because like when we went to Meru and we went to Voi, these were national games that included people from all over the country.
Okay.
So we found people from Wajir, Garissa, from Mombasa, everywhere.
Okay.
So these 44 now are the ones who are going to be put in a boot camp and put through rigorous training, and for us to now finally come up with a team of 14. And of course, documentation for us is prime. We have to get documentation for them to prove, one, their age, and of course, for them to actually travel to Portugal, they need proper documentation. So we have a long journey after now the scouting process after now September.
Okay. So if you compare the football scene in Kenya and the football scene, say in developed countries, say the US, Europe, the England and everything, they have more elaborate structures that actually can support such programs.
Yes.
In terms of, which is much more easy. Given the current structure of our Kenyan football scene, I mean, we are developed, but we are not yet to that level. What are some of the challenges that probably you guys faced, and how you were able to get over them?
When you look at like play fields, like in the UK or in developed countries, in a simple play area, a training ground, they're usually very well maintained. They have trained coaches and all. But when you come to Kenya, the children play with the little spaces they can find.
Okay.
I remember there's a place we went to, Mathare, and we were told to set up. And right in the middle of the field, there's a hole, a hole.
Wow.
And we were asking, how do the children, and they actually they played. We found a few children from that specific school. But we asked ourselves, how do these children play? But facilities are there at a higher level. But at grassroots, or what we call mashinani level, children are forced to play with whatever they can find. And you find that, for example, if you are good at football, you'll get a group of children and train them and call yourself coach. So the name coaches is very popular amongst people. So that's how football is organized. Is there room for improvement? Yes. The government has, I think, invested quite heavily in stadiums in most counties.
Okay.
But I honestly believe that we can develop the playing facilities at the grassroots,
Okay.
so that we don't have to travel too far to find a well-maintained turf,
Okay.
or a place where the child is safe enough to play, because some of these places are very dangerous. There are stones, like I mentioned, the concrete.
Yeah.
The injury levels are very high. So it is our prayer that well, when Figo says he has a target, he doesn't mean that everyone should go to Portugal.
Okay.
He means that you develop talent in a way that if a child can walk, say, a mile or less and find a proper place to play, that is a win for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's this perception. I mean, I think growing up, some of us, our parents used to believe that things like as arts, sports, those ones were part-time things. You focus on more serious things. Are the parents of the children that you are adopting much more receptive to this whole idea of scouting and having them travel abroad? How are they taking it?
We have amazing reception from parents.
Okay.
Parents who are, the cheerleaders of their children. So they'll text you, or they will send you messages through Facebook and say, my child plays for this team. Can you go where they are? Or some of them will send us videos. The reception from the parents has been amazing. Okay. Of course, like I remember when we went, there's a place we went to, Chesa Sport, and there's a little boy who looked like, he was really 5. And the father was telling us, he started exposing him to football at about 1 year. And, just let him, just know what a ball is, and the child can play so well. Yeah. The reception from the parents has been amazing. Okay. And you mentioned something interesting about education.
Yes.
I know there's a push towards education, and you're told, this is
become
extra.
a doctor. I mean, if you don't become a doctor, then you've not made it in life.
But we thank God for the CBC, because if you look at what the CBC advocates, is that not everyone is smart enough to actually get to doctor level. Okay. There are some people who are not so good with books, but they're excellent in the field. Yeah. So Dream Football has 4 pillars. There's nutrition, physical fitness, education, and life skills. Okay. All these are offered to the children. Education, you must go to school, or you must have some knowledge, either homeschooling or formal school. Okay. We don't emphasize that you must be an A student, but you must, if you can handle both books and football, that's a sign of discipline even. So education is a pillar. And one of our visions is to actually have an academy. Okay. And the academy has a schooling part and the football part. They're all part and parcel of a dream that we hope to achieve. So yes, we believe in all developing the child holistically. Okay. And because of that, actually, that's why the parents are supportive, because we have a holistic approach package for them. Okay. And when the child gets into the academy, we give them food subsidies for those who can't afford, because a child has to eat. Yeah. Because in some cases you find children who can play well, but they're very frail. And there's one, apart from just food subsidies, you must make sure that their health care is taken care of, their school fees if they cannot afford. So it's a whole entire package for their family. Okay. There's something, again, you mentioned, comparing a European child to an African child. Yeah. I heard of a case where they had, I think, an under-15 team going to play with a junior team in Europe. And they refused to play with the Kenyan kids because of the size. Wow. If you put a 15-year-old child from Europe, for example, and a 15-year-old child from Kenya, they're usually very small. Yeah. So when you play against people who are much bigger than you, they will hurt you. Yeah. So when people are scouting, they tend to look for children who are bigger. Yeah. So the smaller ones are known to be very quick, but there's some kids who just don't grow tall. So there are very many things we look for in that, but we are aware that Kenyan kids, African children, are usually different in terms of physique and all from European children.
Okay, these are really good initiative. Any particular support that you've received from the Ministry of Sports or any relevant stakeholder?
Oh, yes. The Kenya Primary School Sports Association actually told us, come, let's go to Meru. We had activities here in Nairobi. We partnered with them, we sponsored them, we gave them kits and all that.
Okay.
We went to Meru, we did the same thing. We give them cash prizes. When we go there, we give them breakfast, because
Okay.
when you give a child a good breakfast, they can play.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have a partner, Blue Band, who have been extremely gracious
okay.
to us. Everywhere we go, they give us breakfast for the children, because again, we're driving the nutrition agenda. So when you go to schools, they're given the uji with Blue Band, or Blue Band with bread, the usual breakfast.
Okay.
So for that, we're extremely grateful.
Okay.
So we have the ministry, we have Blue Band, and we have other stakeholders like the FKF again, who are helping us in terms of documentation for the children, verifying of the age, and helping us now get the final 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
So probably there is somebody who's watching who's from the community, and probably he's not, his time for playing sports is done, and he's probably wondering, well, how can he contribute to this initiative by Dream Football Kenya?
Okay. First of all, once a football player, always a football player.
Okay.
So one, you can give back to your society by getting a group of children and training them. You can actually get training. We can help you get training as a coach, so that you also go back and train children, because we realize in places like I mentioned, Mathare and Huruma, there are people who get into crime and drugs because actually they believe those two go synonymous. Playing football and crime goes together, which is quite unfortunate. So people who have played football but they feel like their time is up, there's no such thing as time is up.
Okay.
So they can actually get that training and go back and now organize teams, and then now let us know that I have organized this team. They need training. We'll also help them in terms of acquiring the training they need from wherever they are.
Okay.
If it's kitting, we'll try and find kitting as much as possible. And then when it comes to scouting, we'll of course go to the teams that we have. Of course you give priority to those, but of course it's merit based. We do not have any preference for anybody. It's purely merit based. Okay. But that's the kind of support we intend to give football.
Okay. Yes. So probably as we are concluding, there's somebody who's watching and would like to know, how do they reach you guys? How do they get in touch with you guys? Probably they have a tournament or something of the sort. Actually, before the show, there was somebody who contacted me. He had seen the poster. He usually has a tournament. So he's like, how can I get in touch? So probably this will be the right time to let them know how they can get in touch with you guys. Okay.
On Facebook, we are Dream Football Kenya, and Instagram, we also Dream Football Kenya. So when you message us, we have a very good social media team that responds promptly. Okay. So most of our tournament appointments have been made through Facebook. Actually, that's where we have the biggest traffic. Okay. So when you message us and tell us where you are and you give us your number, we plan. We have an operations manager who's in charge of just planning the tournaments and the visits. So that number is handed over to them and they call back immediately. Okay. So that's actually what most of our scouting has been done that way, apart from going to schools and academies. That's one way they can reach us. So that's Dream Football Kenya on Facebook and on Instagram as well. Yes.
Sawa. Thank you so much, Christine, for
coming
through.
Thank you. This has been good.
Thank you. I wish you guys all the best in your subsequent tournaments, and I hope you select the best representatives in the country. We would like to see more Marigas, Wanyamas, many more coming out of the country. And please join us for tournaments as well. I will. Okay. We'll talk about it after the break. No problem. Okay, so that's all the time that we had today on Metropole Sports Center. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back next week, same place, same time, different conversation, but it all revolves around sports. My name is Nashon Owano. Do have a fabulous night.